Technology, huh?
It's like with what's it, Vox Media, when he was like, you know, you got to have a certain amount of viewers,
Right.
like, or subscribers.
Right.
Like, we don't have like hardly any subscribers.
Yeah, exactly.
And we can go live. I think it might be the you know, this is on Chrome, and well, that's the only way you can go live on YouTube.
But I guess that makes sense as a Google product or whatever. Right?
Yeah, so I don't know. But let's go over here to
All right.
because nobody's watching.
Yeah.
So. All right, so time. Cool. Yeah, so it should be good. We're up and up.
All right.
Kind of things. So, ready?
Absolutely.
Good morning, Jeff.
Morning, Chad.
How's everybody doing? Welcome to the Catholic Dad Podcast. It's been a while.
Welcome back. We're as Catholic dads, we've got day jobs, so the podcast has been a bit sporadic this year, but it's fun to always get together and chit chat. So we're getting to do it now. End of the summer and all that, as things start to ramp up into school, maybe the schedule becomes a little bit more consistent and we can see about getting back.
Yeah, so you've got some big things. So today's August 8th.
Yeah.
And Mr. Dodge is going to be traveling a little bit.
Yeah, leaving tomorrow and going halfway around the world and be there for about 10 days and come back.
10 days?
Yeah. It's going to be long. I mean, it takes on average almost 2.5 days just to get there.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is crazy. So, and then the whole international Dateline thing is pretty crazy too. So I leave on a Tuesday and I get back on the same Tuesday, but fly 30 hours, right?
Yeah.
So
I've only flown that way once.
Yeah.
I've only flown west once.
Yeah.
Into Japan.
That
was cool.
Yeah.
And it was actually on my mom's birthday. So when I was in Japan, at that time I was on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
So I got on Facebook and I saw that, it's mom's birthday. Well, I knew it was mom's birthday, but I got on Facebook and I wished her a happy birthday in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like, for everybody else over here, they're like, you don't even know your mom's birthday.
Nice.
Like, I was in Japan.
Yep, exactly.
It counted.
Yep.
I wished her happy birthday twice.
That's awesome.
Nah.
One of our friends flies. She's a flight attendant, and so for New Year's Eve, I think it was last year, a couple years ago, she had a couple flights, and one of them crossed the date line, so she actually celebrated like New Year's Eve twice.
Yeah,
that was really cool. So yeah, chased the sun all the way around the world with the Wayfair flights. I thought it was pretty cool. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so what else besides travel? So summer's wrapping up.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna miss baby's first day of school, so yeah, that's super big bummer. So yeah, it's us. She's super excited. She's got her little backpack and her little blanket and lunchbox, and it's all Paw Patrol and it's all pink.
Nice.
And she's super ready to go, and I'm gonna miss it. The only one I've ever missed. Yeah, so
Oh man,
that's always a little bit tough.
maybe Aaron can FaceTime you or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I mean, it's 12 hours, so
Yeah.
it should be fine to.
I was in
Check
India
in, so-
whenever the one of the Super Bowls,
Mhm.
and so I had the boys FaceTime me.
Yeah, nice.
Just so I could feel like I'm there.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
So Fullness of Truth conference is coming up.
That's
That's this weekend. So
Yeah.
we're gonna head to that.
nice.
That's really our
Is that like tomorrow, this weekend, or the following weekend?
no following
Yeah.
weekend.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So we've got that tradition where we end kind of that's like the bookmark
Yeah. Exactly.
of our summer,
Nice
and
and
then
summer.
we'll start school. We're on the Harry Potter schedule, so we start school the September the first Tuesday after Labor Day. So it's not September 1, but it's
Whatever that revolves.
very close to that. So we always say we're on the Harry Potter schedule.
Yeah.
Hogwarts.
Yep. We went 2 weekends ago. We did our annual family trip to a swimming hole in the Hill Country. And
What's the name of that place?
so this year we went to Blue Hole. And so we tried to find a different one
Jacob's
every year.
Well was
We
one.
went to Jacob's Well.
Okay.
We went to Hamilton Pool. So we've done Jacob's Well, Krause Springs, Hamilton Pool, and Blue Hole now. So Blue Hole is up by San Marcos. We're actually really close to Jacob's Well. It's
Okay.
on the same creek, I guess. So Jacob's Well is just up the creek a little bit. You actually turn on Jacob's Well road to get there, but gosh, just that whole part of the country is amazing.
That whole-
yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. This one, Blue Hole was probably the best so far. It was really big. It is by reservation only, so we got there right at like 9. So we had the place for ourselves almost for like a whole hour. And then as it got closer to lunch and started to warm up, there was a lot more people and stuff there.
How cold was it?
It wasn't bad at all. It was really nice. Just a little bit of that chill when you first get in, but then after that it was fine. I guess it was last weekend. It was but the weather has been actually pretty awesome this summer. Right now it's miserable, but
Yeah.
we had that cold front in July.
Yeah.
We left.
Cold front.
I mean, yeah,
I
literally,
know
yeah. Like no humidity, and then
Yeah, it was awesome.
we were up there and we got up to San Marcos and it was like 78 on the car thermometer, like 9 in the morning, and like it's dry out there.
Yeah.
Like it's like gonna be a little bit chilly today to be jumping in and out of this water. So yeah, it was a great day. And then we hung around San Marcos, and that afternoon went to mass in San Marcos Saturday night, grabbed a bite to eat, and came back. So it's just a 1-day back trip. But it's a family tradition. So
Yeah.
the best part of Facebook, if I think maybe the only best part of Facebook is the memories. And so this time of year, it's always like this weekend kind of time frame. Just like fullness of truth or whatever the memories will come back. So all this week I've been hitting the
Yes.
4 years ago at Jacob's Well, or at Crossing Springs, and 2 years ago at Hamilton
Yes.
Pool or whatever. So that's been pretty cool. But yeah, that's a great family tradition. It's super fun, and I think we've talked about traditions before on the podcast. Not important to this.
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
kids look forward to those things. So
Yeah.
and
And
fullness
that's
and two is we are now 1 week away from a year of Book of Life entries.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So we started on the first day of school last year, and so that'll be next week. So
Excellent.
and we haven't missed a day. So pretty awesome. 30
I missed a
pages.
couple of days on mine, but I'm pretty consistent. And what I found is it's funny, like just when life gets crazy, so it's
Mhm.
hard to like write out every time.
Exactly. Yep.
And so generally I have everything on my work calendar. So I get my phone and I look at my work calendar and I'm like, what happened that day? And
Yep.
just nothing was ringing a bell, because obviously it's all work stuff, but generally I can be like, oh yeah, that was the day I had to do that presentation. And then after that, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm going to go onto my bank account and I'm going to see, where did we spend money?
There you go.
And it's like, oh yeah, we went to El Charro.
Yeah,
So,
nice.
Or, what I call Hacienda. I call it Hacienda Marco El Charro Rico Palomas. Which
Exactly.
is the Mexican restaurant where we did the Mexican the Margarita Friday.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
one time.
Yep.
So but I was like, oh yeah, we did that, and I was like, oh yeah, and that's right, we did this and this. So I literally was scrolling through my Chase account.
Yeah, that's a great way to
And I'm like, okay, this is where we were on that day. So, and I remembered that, so I would write just a little something about the day.
Mhm.
So I was able to go back and fill in that week.
Yeah.
Because I basically missed a week, but
Yeah.
caught up and everything was good. And I'm thinking of like raising the game just a little bit.
Mhm.
And that's, it's like, I can't remember what movie it was. It was a movie where they had, actually it was a Saturday Night Live episode. Now that I think about it. But they were like talking about how awesome this thing was. It was like, it's instead of going to a movie, you don't go to a movie. Now you listen to this box and it allows you to think of your own, what the story is on your own. So your character, you can envision the character how you would envision them, and like talking all about it. And it's a radio. It's like one of those old radios.
Uh-huh.
So it was like going back in time.
Nice.
So for my book of life, I'm thinking my brother had this little portable printer
Mm-hmm.
that you would take a picture on your phone,
Right.
and basically send it to this little bitty printer, and
Yep.
it would print out this tiny picture.
Yep.
I'm like, I'm gonna buy one of those.
Just do it
So
every
whenever
day.
I write about an entry,
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna like take the pictures on my phone and I'll just print out a little thing. And I think it had like a
Yeah.
sticky thing.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna stick it into the book.
Yeah, I think we got my daughter that one year for maybe for Christmas or her birthday or something.
Yeah.
It's great. It's like
a
a new
little
Polaroid.
store, old,
It's a
old
new
style
gener-
Polaroid.
Yeah, the new generation Polaroid. That's awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, I think that would be awesome.
Mhm.
But I started my book of life. It was the first week of April. It wasn't April 1, but it was the first week of April, and I enjoyed going back and look. Everybody kind of laughs at it, saying, "Oh, Dad's writing in his journal.
Yeah,
Oh, it's
yeah.
in the journal, Dad." And I'm like, "Well, why don't you read it and you'll find out."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they won't be laughing 20 years from now when they get to
Mhm.
look back and think
Oh, I
about
know.
what they did.
Because
Yeah,
I
it's
know
really
I
amazing.
mentioned it before,
Yeah.
but the journals that we wrote from the camp logbooks.
Yeah, exactly.
Whenever we were going up to the camp, those 10 years in Bundix,
Yeah.
it was it's what kept my sanity when I was in Africa.
Mhm.
That one year, I'm like,
Mhm.
but I read that every day. I'm like, I remember that. I
Yeah.
remember that exact date.
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. But anyway, so I guess we should get on to the topic.
Sure.
And you know, one of the beauties of, you know, just the life that we, you know, busy, hectic life or whatever that we have is we have a lot of broken things around our houses. And the other day I was in the garage working out, and I sat up on the bench and I noticed how many broken things I have in my garage. So I started thinking, I'm like, I'm going to take a picture of all these broken things. So I've got 2 broken generators.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a broken bike, a broken chair, a broken Instapot,
Mm-hmm.
and a repaired, this is the one that I forgot earlier,
Yeah.
and a repaired ice maker.
Nice.
It was broken,
Uh-huh.
but I fixed it.
Right.
And then so I'm taking pictures of all these broken things, and then I turn around with a selfie and I take a picture of myself because I am absolutely broken.
Yep.
So I just started thinking, it's like the garage, and in the old days they used to call garages, you know, when you went to get your car fixed,
Mm-hmm.
they called that a garage.
Mhm.
You know, like Happy Days, right? Fonzie worked at a garage.
Yeah.
And I just started thinking about that. It's like the garage is where you go to fix things.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, the title of this podcast would be "Fix You."
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just like this thought that I just kept going, and just thought we could talk about it a little bit of like, number one, why do I have this drive to fix things?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that part of it is a good thing,
Mhm.
in that it's like I see the value in these things,
Mm-hmm.
and I see the value of trying to fix it, to repair it, instead of just throwing it away.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember a long time ago, we had a broken washing machine or something like that.
Mhm.
And or maybe I think it was the dryer. Anyway, it was one of those kind of big appliances that's not really too expensive to
Yep.
replace. So I want to say it was the dryer, because dryers are pretty cheap.
Yeah, I think so.
And so the dryer broke, and it was like I was looking at how much it cost to repair
Mm-hmm.
versus how much it cost to buy a brand new one.
Right.
And I'm like, this is kind of crazy, in that you could almost buy a brand new one cheaper,
Mm-hmm.
you know, or at the same cost as repairing this old one, which is, you know, at the time it was like a hand-me-down that my parents had given me.
Mhm.
So, you know, it was an older model, but I'm just saying, it's like, it still worked.
Yeah.
And well, you know, before it broke, it was working fine. So this thing breaks, and now you're faced with, do I repair it for, let's say, $100,
Mhm.
or do I go buy a new one for like $175, almost $200? So
Yeah.
it's like, you know, and I was in this dilemma. It's like, we're in this culture now where you throw everything away.
Yep.
And that got me thinking about, like, we are in a disposable culture,
Mm-hmm.
where marriages are thrown away instead of working on it,
Mm-hmm.
where, you know, God help us, babies are thrown away,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and they're in abortion, versus, you know, you raise this life. So I don't know, I just thought this would be maybe a good topic to talk about, of like, you know, the value of things, instead of, you know, both in the spiritual realm and the physical realm. You know, I'm just saying, like, I just thought it was a neat concept of like, and then maybe what does that say about us, where maybe we're maturing, or I could say
Mhm.
that I'm maybe maturing to the point where now I see the value in things. So instead of throwing it away, maybe 25 years ago, I'd be like, just throw it away.
Right.
Versus now I'm like, I'm repairing it. No, I'm going to repair that ice maker.
Yeah. Right.
And for the ice maker, I really honestly thought that I'm going to fix this ice maker. I'm going to put it on eBay, and I'm going to sell it. You know, just not trying to make a whole lot of money, just to like not add something to the garbage,
Right.
you know,
Right.
and it's got value to somebody, and nobody
That's-
bought it. I mean, I don't understand.
Nobody did anybody.
So what are your thoughts on that?
No, I think it's a good topic. I think the kind of running parallel with it, and definitely related, is the idea that we just have so much now.
Yeah.
So I was kind of reflecting as you were talking. Growing up, my dad, he always parked 2 cars in the garage, and I think it was probably like 2.5 car garage type size maybe, but
Yeah.
that was kind of the standard, I think, in the neighborhood we grew up, and it wasn't any different than Kingwood. In fact, when we moved down here, I was like, man, why are all these garages so small?
Yeah.
Right? They're non-functional really for parking cars in. I mean, like if even like our Saturn, right? I mean, it was our house has the 2 bays with like the little divider in the middle.
Well, yeah,
And
yeah.
it's narrow enough that you have to be like on your game if you're going to pull your car in there.
Yeah.
But
Cars have gotten bigger too, though, right?
I think that might be part of it. But I remember my dad, he always parked both cars in the garage.
We had some boats back then.
We had
Come to
bikes.
think of it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Station wagons and Caprices.
Yeah, we had
those things were
we had
giant.
this GMC Safari
Yeah,
van,
so, I don't know.
he had a workbench, he had his tools all laid out. He had all this stuff hanging on the wall. We had the bikes in there. But it was never disorganized, and our garage is just a pile of stuff. And so the other thought that runs along that is we just have a lot more stuff.
Yeah.
And then along the same lines, I think we look at the materials we use, we look at the stuff that goes into the stuff that we buy. It's so consumer now. I mean, our kids have gone through so many bikes, and the gear shifter stopped working and the brakes get loose. And it's like, I don't believe that my kids are any harder on their bikes than I probably was when I was growing up. But I had one bike, I had 2 bikes, right? I had like the BMX my dad got me. And then when I grew out of that, I got like a GT mountain bike. And then once I outgrew that one, he had a Diamondback. So I got his Diamondback mountain bike and he got a new one, and they lasted my whole childhood. And my kids have gone through, 3 or 4 bikes at this point that have just the culture idea. You can be disposable if things are easy to get. So there's like 2 sides of that coin, right? It's like we can buy a bike at Walmart now for like $100 and it didn't last, right? I know like the bike the mountain bike my dad got me, even when back in the early 90s, it was a couple $100. It was a big deal. And it was, kind of an investment, and it was a responsibility thing. And, I could go buy my kid that expensive of a bike, but that I wouldn't now. I would just go to, we went to Walmart, we just got on. You know what I mean? So that plays into it somehow, is that it's both sides. Yes, we have a throwaway culture, but yes, we have a culture of plenty.
Yeah.
And that definitely goes together. I think of the washer dryer thing, we fixed both our washer and our dryer for a really long time. And that was really kind of the first thing that we put the energy and effort into, one, doing it ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. Because, then you could always call somebody to do it, but then we would figure out how to do it. Right. There's a couple times.
I've got a manual, the new Fix It Yourself manual right behind you.
Yep.
It shows you how to fix the dang washer and dryer and all those little appliances.
Well, and they were 15 years old and we paid them all. So we just got 2 new ones last year, maybe this year, and way bigger capacity. Right. So we just completely outgrown the size of the thing. Aaron was doing 2-3 loads of laundry a day. So the much bigger capacity changed your life. But now it's an LG, and it's all digital. It's, the computer controlled everything. I'm not sure that there's anything on it that I could fix at this point. So there's kind of there's 2 tracks.
Well, that it's like not you fixing it. I'm just saying having it repaired.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like there is a point where, I mean, just the repair in general is what I'm talking about. Where like sometimes
you
can fix it yourself,
Yep.
But then there's another step where it's like this is beyond my capability of repair.
Yeah. Well,
so I'm going to either throw it away and buy a new one, or I'm going to pay for somebody else to come fix it. But I mean, the whole point is, it's like, are you going to repair this thing, or are you going to dispose of it and replace this thing?
Yep.
And I just think that maybe that's like listening to you, I'm wondering, I'm starting to see in my mind, it's like how do I even phrase it? It's like a line where it says that above this, or whichever you're looking at, above this or below this, it's worth putting the effort and energy, right? So just to bring it to the faith life, or to things of for Catholic dads, and the things that we deal with, there's a line that on the spiritual side, I say, is very at the moment, it's blurry,
Mhm.
where people will say, this is not worth the effort.
Right.
And what gives you, what instills in you, Jeff, or in me, or in society, what instills that line? Where does that, how is that line, like drawn, if you will, and what level, and why is it different for some people that says that above this level of, hardship in the marriage
Mhm.
is too much, and we're going to dispose of the marriage, we're going to get a divorce,
Mhm.
versus no, it's worth fighting for. And I mean, so I mean, I'm quite positive the people that I'm thinking of right now don't listen to this podcast, but I've seen some very, we go to mass all the time, and you see people at mass, and you look at them, and you're like, these are some stand-up people,
Mhm.
and then you find out later that they're getting a divorce,
Mhm.
and it makes me so like my first reaction, if I'm being honest, is it makes me mad.
Yeah.
It really makes me mad. I'm like, why? Why are you doing this? Because not that I know. I certainly don't know everything that's going on. So, but I mean, how is that they've drawn that line where it's like, okay, we crossed that threshold where this isn't going to work. So again, I don't know the full story.
Yep.
But they crossed the line where it's like, this is not worth fighting for anymore.
Mhm.
And it really makes me mad. It's like, no matter how hard it gets, this is something that bar is like, that bar's not even on there.
Yeah.
That bar shouldn't even be there to cross over.
Mhm.
It's just, you don't do it. And no matter how hard it gets. So I don't know, man, it's just like, this is some tough things that I've been thinking of recently about it. And again, it's like, well, where do you place the value? Is that a value thing? Is that like a, how much you as a married couple, place the value on marriage? Is it is it like making your, your level of tolerance or whatever it is? So is it a personal thing on just individually? This is how much, I'm willing to put up with. This is how much you're willing to put up with. I mean, I don't know, man. It's like, those are some things that I've been thinking. It's like, why in some people is it? Because I mean, everybody struggles in a marriage, and some more than others. But I've seen marriages, and I know couples that have gone through hell, and are still together. They've gone through infidelity and are still together. And they've gone through just devastating times. Like losses of children, and just like things that would totally and have totally absolutely wrecked marriages. But they're still together. Why are they still together versus some other people aren't?
So I think there's a third part of the repair replace kind of idea, and that's the maintenance. Because I also think in our society we've also devalued maintenance, and I think that goes to kind of what you're talking about too, right? So you have an abundant culture, right? You have a throwaway culture. In order to have that abundance, you have to make things cheaper, right? Or vice versa. I don't know, chicken or the egg, right? Things got cheaper, so we have a lot, or in order to have a lot, they have to be cheaper, right? So the materials the bikes are made out of, not the same materials they used to be, right? They're just not made to hand out. They're a little bit thinner, trying to de-weight the plastic, etc., right? But then the other part is the maintenance idea, right?
Yeah.
It's like you have to maintain. There's these things that we can do to maintain all of our stuff: the dryers, the washers, the cars. When was the last time you did the recommended 60,000 mile thing, right? And the 70,000 mile thing, and the 90,000 mile thing, and we never do that. We get oil changes when we're supposed to, and we do that kind of stuff, right? And I think in terms of the faith life, of course, we talked about this a lot. It's like that maintenance is key. So you have a line in the sand that you put down and you say, the repair replace kind of conversation, right? And in the Catholic life, there's certain things that don't even have that line, that it's just accepted that there's no replace here. It's only repair. But if you're getting to the point where the repair is getting close to whatever that threshold is, there's probably a maintenance kind of thing there. And again, I mean, who knows what's going on? We've got some friends, same thing, at church, divorce, and you're like, yeah, you just the maintenance thing doesn't really work in their situation. But generally speaking of that kind of stereotypical, we just drifted apart, and stopped trying kind of marriage thing. There's that maintenance thing, is huge, right? Are you doing something every day to make sure that you're not getting close to the the line,
Yeah.
right? And it goes, that goes for cars and that sort of thing too. But the maintenance, if things are cheap and easy and abundant, then maintaining them becomes less of an issue, right? I know I don't take care of the stuff that I have nearly the way that my dad did. And I guarantee you, having gone through the Great Depression, I don't take care of the stuff that I have anywhere close to what my grandfather did, right?
Right.
Because he just had such much more of a great appreciation of the things that he has. He takes care of them, and he tinkers and he fixes, and I would just toss it, right, and go get another one.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a mindset change there, and then so I don't know, in the faith life, then you start thinking about, okay, what's the preventative maintenance, so that you're not getting to a catastrophic repair, right? We always have to do little repairs, but just like a huge piece of equipment, if you're doing the monthly, daily oil checks and you're changing your filters, and you're doing all that stuff, that's going to prevent the big time catastrophic, crash of the equipment. I think that's what we need to do in the faith life.
That's awesome. So let's continue this analogy. So what would be the monthly maintenance for a marriage?
Probably a weekend apart. No, I'm just kidding. It's fine. It's fine. Aaron doesn't listen to this podcast. I'm not going to get in trouble. No, I think also, to go back a little bit on the 7 habits or whatever, the roles and goals, doing a weekly, we have a role as a husband and a role as fathers, and and even to the point of friendships and other, outside of language, right? It's important that you make those monthly, weekly goals. So what would monthly maintenance look like? I think everybody in their life has a tempo. I think you put some controls around the tempo of life. So, the book of life is a way to reflect on. It's kind of like what lagging indicator, if we want to use a work term, right? That's kind of a reflection on what have we done, so that you can appreciate it, right? So if there is hard times, if there is something that goes up, the idea is you could pull that out. You could be like, look, let's go back and let's look at some of the good times that we've had. Let's reflect on that stuff. So that causes that. I think we always do a summer bucket list, which we didn't get a lot accomplished this year for a variety of reasons. But Aaron sits down with each kid, before the summer starts. Everybody gets 4 or 5 things on their bucket list. And then that gives us that, oh man, it's Saturday afternoon. What are we going to do? Bucket list, right?
Yeah.
So you don't waste those days. You don't waste that time. And in that in of itself is maintenance. I think, there's a lot of self-maintenance that needs to be done in a marriage. And that means, you got to stay faithful to what you're supposed to be, right? You've made commitments, and you've made, promises in things that, at least in our world that we've seen over the last couple of years, from, abuse of drug and alcohol to infidelity to, even some of the, other vices, right? If you're gambling or, just watching TV or, video game addiction, you have to be working on yourself too, because if you're putting all these efforts somewhere else in your marriage, that's going to get you really close to that repair or replace threshold, right? Mm-hmm. And sometimes some of those things are catastrophic when you go over the line. So I don't know if that answers the question.
No, I'm just in general, just thinking of like, from a Catholic dad's perspective, what are some of those things that we could do that would say, for real, I think it's, we have to understand, the spousal couple has to understand what makes the other one tick.
Yep, that's a big part.
And be willing to, like speak their love language, if you will.
Yeah, exactly.
So that one is gift giving is the love language, then, make sure you give her flowers or whatever, or words of affirmation or whatever. I mean, I guess some of this sounds kind of hokey, but when you look at it, it makes sense. And I think for me, whenever I start reflecting on why I have personally so many broken things in my garage, is because I think deep down, I realize that, that I see the value in repairing things.
Yep.
And I want to restore these things back to functionality.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, so I'm seeing worth. So, that probably says, there's probably some deeper meaning of that, beyond that, like more of a personal thing, maybe, I don't know, but I'm just, I like that. So it's like, if you see the worth in something, if you see the worth in your family, if you see the worth in your marriage, you're going to do those things. And in the event that it gets broken, or those relationships get broken or damaged, I think that having all those broken things in my garage is an indicator that I'm going to work on fixing it. And I know that I want to fix, I'm a people pleaser. So we've talked about this before, my personality style or whatever. I'm a people pleaser. So that could be a problem, but it also kind of speaks to that. It's like, I can't stand it if somebody's mad at me.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So if I know that somebody's mad at me, it's like, I have to go out of my way to like fix that.
Yeah.
So that's just in my personality, but I can't really say that if it's always been that way.
No.
I think that I probably have changed, since the beginning, but
I think there's a really cool insight there. And I think you said you've got all these things in your garage that you want to fix because you can see the value in them. And, me personally, and I think what I'm, seeing reflected in you too, is that when there is somebody in our community that we're close to, and you see, a marriage that falls apart, right? Or more broadly, in the culture, we just see the devaluing of children, right?
Mm-hmm.
Having kind of picked this life, but also been put into it through God's will, and having lived these Catholic values in this Catholic marriage and seeing the value in it, even in the struggle and even in the hardship, and even seeing the ideal, we can see the worth in that, right? I can see the worth in having a big family because my kids are fun, and I can see them grow up, and I can see them, and so when maybe it's our personality types, or maybe it's more of a general statement, but if you can see the worth in something, and then you see something that you see and it's broken, but the other party doesn't care or doesn't seem to care or whatever, and that's kind of a harsh way to put the whole thing, because we're maybe talking about divorce or whatever, but I think that's what you're reflecting, right? It's like, I see this great value in this rocking chair, I'm going to fix it, and then the guy next door is like, what a waste of time, man, I just bought 3 at IKEA. But I see value in this, and you just are just going to throw away the next one, and that kind of does great against us, right? And so when we see, even through the struggles, the fun, the value, the amazing experiences in life, and just the joy that we get and the graces we get out of living this life, it's hard to see someone reject that, right? Because I see the value in it, right? And I see how good it can be. And it is kind of sad to see that rejected sometimes.
Yeah. And also, I think there's something to be said for you want to show people, and it's not like, I showed you, but it's like just take the bike, for example. So right. the bike, I view it as not only that it's broken, and it's not necessarily like broken, you could actually still ride it if you wanted to, but like there's a pedal that's broken, the seat's all torn up, and it's been through the ringer. Yeah. It was in the flood. But I was thinking, number one, that would be a cool project to work on with one of my kids. Yep. So like that was Quinn's bike. And even though we bought him a new bike for his birthday, because it was like his birthday was up, and that bike was it was just really in bad shape. Yeah. So it's like that, what better, birthday present, brand new bike to pull out. But at the same time, it's like, we could repair this, and we have a lot of kids, and sometimes there's not enough bikes to go around, right? So we don't have enough bikes to go around. Yep. So it could be that he could ride that bike, or somebody else could ride that bike. If we were all on a family bike, right, for example. Mm-hmm. But so I'm just saying, like, when you see something that's broken and you see the value, so it might not, it's right now, it's sitting in the garage and it's broken, but I see it, I don't see it as broken. I see the potential of what it would be when it's repaired. Yep. I also see the fun that's going to go into it whenever Quinn and I, or Dylan and I, are repairing it together. I see us going, figuring out what color we're going to paint it. I see us, totally disassembling, from the forks and everything. So you just got a frame, and it's like, I'm not going to say that we're going to sand it down, but like repainting it, and then like picking out the new seat and picking out the new grips for the hand. I mean, I see all of that. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I see the potential not only in the finished product, I see the potential in the nitty gritty work part of it, and what bonding can happen from that. So I mean, again, it's like, it almost sounds, corny that I'm putting all of this stuff into a bike.
Yeah.
But I envision that for marriage,
Yep.
where it's like, I see that what it can be like, and maybe it's not there yet, but whenever you can envision that end product, and then also you kind of know what it's going to take to fix it. I know to fix the chair I got to do XYZ. I know to fix the bike I got to do XYZ, and then the Instapot XYZ. So I know what all has to go into those things to fix it, and I just need to get around to to doing it. But I'm just saying, when you see that in your head, it's hard for me to throw something away. It's like, well, all I need is a cord for the Instapot. So I mean, I can just order a cord on Amazon. I haven't ordered it, but
Yep.
But whenever those things do come in, so like for the ice maker, for example, I had this broken ice maker arm, and I was like, all I gotta do is replace this ice maker arm. So I eventually got around to ordering the dang ice maker arm and replacing it. It's like, wow, that was really easy.
Yeah.
So now I have a perfectly good ice maker that nobody wants. Come on, people. Anyway, thought it was a good thing to just to kind of riff about and think about. And
No, I like it. Yeah, it was really good.
But so that's my thoughts on fixing things, and I guess it's rooted in something more. I mean, it's definitely a personal thing, as you can probably tell. But again, I hope everybody out there realizes the value. I mean, not only their own personal value, but the value in these things that are just so lacking in our culture today. Being a father, being there for your kids, being a husband. So I mean, those if you're a dad, you have a kid out there, be a dad. Yep. Be there with your children. Be a husband. Be a good husband to your it's but you know what? That's what men do. Yep. Men do these things, and we're called to be men. We're called to be men of faith. So just my encouragement right now is, number one, I'm praying for everybody that's out there. I'm praying for all Catholic dads, praying for all dads in general, because this culture, we absolutely have this lack of male leadership in the family. The role of men are being, suppressed and just further degraded. And we need to do what we can to maintain, hey, male influence matters. Yep. Don't just try to do away with us, right? And female influence matters too. Moms and dads matter. Yep. So I mean, my heart goes out to the situations where that's not in the family. But if you've got a marriage that's struggling, prayers go out to you. Just work. I mean, it's going to take work. Things don't fix themselves. It's not going to sit in that garage and just be repaired the next time I go out there. Right. I've got to put the effort in there to do it, and just maybe see the vision of what it could be. And I also think that helps get to the goal. If you've got something that needs to be repaired and you have no idea how to fix it, maybe that's the reason why we say, well, I'm just going to throw it away. I have no clue. But just as in today's culture, we have internet at our fingertips. We have a wealth of knowledge, in YouTube videos to help repair that carburetor on the generator. Yep. There's really no excuse for me not to go in there and fix everything that's in that garage. Yeah. Unless it's just, I don't see the value in it. Yep. So I can see it. I know how to do it because I've got it available. So I might not have that immediate knowledge, but I know I can get that knowledge. And the same thing with the marriage. You might not be able to know how to fix it, but somebody in your community does. For marriage, there's RetroV, yep, which is a fantastic program that I know multiple couples that have gone to it and it's totally changed their marriage. And one was growing up when I was in my home parish at St. Teresa as a kid. We had a couple that went through RetroV, had a difficult time in marriage. Infidelity was involved. And RetroV, and they're still together. I mean, that was like what, 40 years ago, right? Yeah, exactly. It's possible, yep. So it's just, you got to be willing to do it, willing to put the work into it, willing to put the research into it to figure out where are these resources, and but again, if you can envision what it would look like, I think that helps. Because if you can't even see it, then that makes it very hard.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts for you?
No, I think that was cool. I think it's a cool analogy. I think there's just a lot about, you know, the bounty of our culture and how much we have, right? And do we appreciate it, you know, as much as previous generations? And that it permeates into relationships and the throwaway culture and the hookup culture. And,
Yeah.
you know, they're related, right? There's definitely a you know, like John Paul II, you know, it's a use. You know, it's what's the usefulness of this? What's the usefulness of this? And then you start applying that to people. And you know, if everything's around use and you're willing to throw things away because, you know, they're cheap and disposable, then that permeates into people and relationships too. So yeah, cool.
Awesome.
I liked it.
Yeah. Well, thanks, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. Hopefully, we can get on a more regular schedule.
Exactly.
We'll publish a little bit more, but we are approaching our, you know, in the fall is where we always like started this podcast
Yep.
idea, and it was like 4 years, and then we actually started, and it was in the fall. So
Yep.
I don't know exactly the
don't
the
either.
day that we actually started like podcasting regularly,
Mhm.
but I believe it was in September. So
Yeah, that makes sense.
we're coming up on, I guess that would be a year.
Mhm.
So, or actually, we
Year
already
two-
did. We
2
already
years
did.
maybe, huh?
Yeah,
Since Harvey. Yeah.
that's right. That's right. We took our break. So, oh yeah, sorry.
Well,
But
awesome.
yeah,
2
So
years.
anyway-
Time. Thanks for listening in, everybody. Staying with us this morning.
absolutely. And Saint Joseph.
Pray for us.
That's that.
Cool.
Not that one.
Gosh.
This one. Did I say stop recording? Yeah.
Oh, my gravelly voice this morning.
No,
I
it
was
was
gonna think
good.
I'm a smoker.